with an educational video. We're going to be doing our standard semi-automatic pistol manipulation drill, but this time we're going to be doing it left-handed. I have a right-handed version of that video. I will put a card right around here so that if you clicked on this by mistake, you want to see the right-handed one, or you want to learn to do both, there you go. Before we get into that, though, please hit that subscribe button to help us out with that algorithm. Really appreciate it. And if you like this video, give us a thumbs up as well. So if you're new to picking up a firearm, we're going to show you what the NRA basic pistol class does, which is basically grasp the firearm here around the front end of the gun. Please do not go in front of the gun, in front of the muzzle. I'm going to get it off the table so that I can actually get my webbing back into the top part of the back strap, or the tang here. And then I'm going to take my trigger finger, lay that against the side of the frame. My middle finger is going to come around, make contact with the trigger guard, then my fourth, then my fifth finger. So this is how I'm going to be gripping my firearm. Notice my thumb's not folded down. Instinctively, you're going to want to fold your thumb down, but we need to leave this open for the second hand. You'll see that in a second. So I'm going to get my gun up here so I can actually see the magazine well. I'm going to grab my magazine, index my finger off the top round, and you notice here that this is a snap cap. The gun has been previously verified as being unloaded, so I'm not manipulating a loaded gun here. I'm going to take that snap cap magazine here. I'm going to point my finger at the magazine opening here, this hole, and I'm going to use proprioception. Basically, my finger knows, or my body knows, where my finger is pointing, so that'll help guide that magazine right into place. Once that's in, I'm going to need to manipulate the slide. Right now, your ammunition is sitting right here. There's nothing in this area, which is the chamber, which would allow the gun to fire. So manipulating the slide back and then forth will allow that cartridge that's sitting here to actually move up into this area. So you see these lines right here. These are called grasping grooves. I'm going to take the meaty part of my palm right here, and I'm going to take my support side hand, put it on these grasping grooves, and then on these grasping grooves over here, I'm going to take my four fingers on my support hand, and I'm going to be essentially holding or pressing in. You see the discoloration of the fingers here. I'm going to be pressing into that palm to actually get a hold of that slide. Now, I'll show you this in a different angle in a second, but when we want to actually manipulate the slide, we're not going to actually do a lot of pulling. As a matter of fact, it's going to be minimal pulling. We're actually going to be taking the dominant hand. Usually it's your shooting hand, your dominant hand. We're going to use all that dominant, strong musculature, and we're actually going to push the bottom of the gun or the frame forward so that we're using more strength here versus using the quote-unquote weaker side to pull. So I'm going to drive that bottom of the gun forward until the slide will not move anymore, and then I will release. It is critical that you allow the spring in here to do what it's designed to do and let that slide slam forward. Now, I have one chambered. I'm going to shoot. Let me go ahead and try to do a two-handed grip here. So notice my thumb's out of the way. Glocks are nice. They have this little divot here. It gives you a good point of reference. Other guns have little shapes here. Some are triangles, some are trapezoids. But that's where I'm going to place the meaty part of this support palm into that position. So I'm going to place my palm in that position. The thumb is not really doing anything. Our shooting grips don't usually involve too much of our thumbs, especially this support side thumb. I'm going to flip the gun over here so you can see, but I want my index finger to hit the trigger guard first, then the middle, then the fourth, then the fifth. What I don't want to do is pinky, fourth, middle, because then my index finger really has nowhere to go and nowhere to grasp. So again, palm, index, middle, fourth, fifth. And what I'm doing is I'm actually clamping into the gun. So these are holding, and I'm clamping this way. This hand is clamping forward. So I'm actually closing my grip all the way around the gun and clamping in. At this point, I would get the gun up to my eyes. Please don't bring your head down to the gun. I'm going to get a good sight alignment here. Equal height, equal light. Stage the trigger and press the trigger. Now, my trigger finger is going to go straight. I'm going to bring the gun back towards my chest, and I'm going to want to release the magazine. Now, here's the deal. This gun is set up for a right-hander, so you notice that there is no magazine release here. Now, if you do have a gun that has ambidextrous controls here, then you could push the magazine release with your support side thumb, or if your thumb was long enough, you could push it with your shooting side thumb and the mag would drop out. Here, since this gun is set up as a right-handed gun, I have one option where I take my middle finger and push that button, so my middle finger will come up and I will hit that button and the mag will pop out. Or I can take my shooting hand, or my support hand, I'm sorry, and hit that magazine release, which will cause the button, the mag to pop out. It is up to you how you do it, but it is a little bit awkward for some people to change their grip a little bit, to use that middle finger. I don't know if you guys can see that. Use that middle finger to pop the button and the mag come out. For some people, depending on the spread of their fingers, it may be easier for them to go ahead and reach around to the other side and hit that magazine release with the support hand. So that is up to you. Once that magazine is out, we're going to place that gun down on the table, palm down. There's a reason for that. There are oftentimes splinters and metal shards and things like that on your shooting decks at commercial ranges, so you don't want to pick any of that stuff up by laying your gun down like this. So once that gun is down here, I'm going to flip that gun over so it makes it easier for me to pick up the gun later. So I'm going to do this from a different perspective so you can see how the drill actually looks. So we'll be right back. All right, so I'm going to show this at a different angle here. So again, I'm going to go through what I just went through with the other angle. I'm going to be picking up the gun, getting into my shooting hand. I want to make sure again that I'm coming all the way up into the tang here, back in the back strap. Lay my trigger finger down on the frame, middle, fourth, fifth. Remember, I don't want to go pinky, fourth, middle, because then there's no place for my middle finger to go. You want that middle finger involved in the grip. I want to get in my workspace. That's going to be between my chin and my nose. Notice the muzzle still pointing in a safe direction. Please don't do this at the range. You're probably going to get kicked out of the range if you're doing this in a commercial range. I'm going to grab my magazine. Notice that I am still indexed off that first round. And without looking, if I know where my magazine well is, I can actually point my finger at that hole and insert the magazine. I'm going to get my thumb up inside the back here. Glocks have this little cutout. I'm going to give it a little tug to make sure the magazine is still in. If it's a different brand like my SIG or my M&P, there might be little scallops here that you could pull on the magazine to make sure it's seated. Now again, taking the meaty part of my palm, going on the grasping grooves on this side, I'm going to place my palm here, 4 fingers on the other grasping groove on the other side, trying not to cover that ejection port here. I'm going to bring that gun all the way back to the outside of my chest muscle here. Now, this will minimize rearward motion, which is my non-dominant here at this point. I'm going to be driving my dominant hand forward using all that extra musculature right here. I'm going to be pushing forward and then releasing. You notice something fall out, that's going to be the snap cap that we had chambered a little bit earlier. Now I'm going to establish the grip. Again, looking for this little spot right here. On the Glock, we have that scallop. On other guns, there's other shapes here that you can see. I'm going to take the meaty part of my palm here. I'm going to place it on that section. I want to be as high up on the gun as possible. I'm going to take my index finger. I'm going to wrap it around the grip. Notice I'm not trying to grip with my thumb. So index fingers touching the trigger guard, index, middle, fourth, fifth. Very, very important you do it in that order. If you do pinky, fourth, middle, your index finger is not going to have a place to grip. So once I establish that, again, I'm clamping my grip into the gun. Right, this hand is clamping forward, this hand is clamping side to side. I'm going to bring that gun up into my high compressed or compressed high ready position. I'm going to set my stance, and now to do the drill, I'm going to find my sights, and I'm going to drive the gun forward. Once I have equal height, equal light, stage out the trigger and go ahead and finish with a press. Once that trigger press occurs, I'm going to put my trigger finger on the frame and bring the gun back into this compressed high ready position. Now understand, you have to remember, trigger finger's got to come off the gun and stay on the frame. Sights on target, finger on trigger, sights off target, finger off trigger. Now I'm going to take the magazine out and I'm going to place the mag down and the gun down just like we did in the earlier section of the video. So I'm going to repeat that process. I'm going to pick up the gun, establish your grip. You don't have to do this after this hand after a while. After a while, you'll know how to pick the gun up off the deck. I'm going to go through that loading process again up here in my workspace. I'm going to rack the gun. Again, I'm going to have something fly out because I did have a snap cap in there. I'm going to reestablish that grip on the gun. So again, finding that spot, place that palm in there, reach that index finger around the trigger guard, middle, fourth, fifth, come up into my ready position, get into my stance, find my sights. Notice that I'm not punching out and bringing the gun down. I'm finding my sights here, finding the sights, aligning them, driving them forward, taking out the slack and trigger, and pressing. I'm going to keep repeating that. And I have two ways to do that. The one way is to pop out the magazine, place everything down like you saw me do earlier. The other thing that I can do here is if I don't want to just practice picking up the gun, what I want to do is I'm just going to rack the gun to reset the trigger. Once that trigger is reset, the snap cap kicks out. I'm going to reestablish my grip again, making sure that I'm going into that little divot there. Index finger goes around, middle, fourth, fifth, come up here into my high compressed ready position, find my sights, drive forward, press the trigger. I'm only doing it this way if all I'm really working on is my presentation. If I am working on picking up the gun, then I'm going to pop up the magazine, place the gun down, and place the magazine down. Now, if I pick up the magazine, I pick up the gun, put the magazine in, right, and I rack it to reset the trigger, and the slide sticks open like this, then I know that I'm out of snap caps and I'm done the drill. I would recommend doing this. I just did this with 4 snap caps to make the drill go a little quicker, but I would recommend doing this with 5 snap caps. So once you have this slide open, you're out of quote-unquote ammunition, go ahead and take that magazine out, place it down on the deck, go ahead and take that gun, place that on the deck like we told you how to do back in the beginning part of the video. So that's the drill. Hopefully you found it helpful. What we want to do is do this dry at home so that you can get used to manipulating the gun, racking the gun, getting in your stance, doing all that stuff without wasting time on the range where you should actually be doing some shooting and having some fun. So get this stuff out of the way and then it'll apply when you go to the range. If you found this helpful, you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well so that you can help us out with the algorithm, and then click that bell notification icon. Usually it's down to the right side there, so that you can be notified of any new content that we might post. Thank you so much for your time. Stay safe, and we'll see you out on the range.